Wood is a right-wing lawyer who, big in the Trump really won the election. We should sue people and do audits and all the other desperate things they tried, to very ineffectually overturn it. I mean, the whole, it was like a 3-month drama of the equivalent of the big tall guy holding up his hand like this while the short guy waves around his arms and, nothing happens. All of the courts, a series of Republican, and in some cases Trump appointed judges threw all this shit out of court, in this super cursory way. They did everything short of writing lol, fuck no, and cran, on the filings they've been given. Also, of course, Lin Wood was actually represented Kyle Rittenhouse, much less funny, the right-wing vigilante, from last summer. And among other people, he's actually has represented. This is a really fun part of this story. Is this person? Do we have the clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene blowing up a car?
Nancy Pelosi is sneaking the Green New Deal into the $3.5 trillion budget. And in 2022, I'm going to blow away the Democrat socialist agenda.
That is a sitting member of Congress. If you're listening to this on the podcast later, that was a real ad put out by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, in which she blows up a car that's labeled socialism.
She's got a sniper rifle that's right out of some weird Stallone movie. And you see the thing kick and knocks her back a foot, and she's laying on the ground shooting the thing too. So yeah. She ain't ready for this.
No. I actually remember with some nostalgia when the 2010 Tea Party candidates all seemed crazy as shit, but the bar has been raised since then. All right. Now that everybody knows who these two people are, I want to put a pin in that. We'll come back to Lin Wood or Marjorie Taylor Greene in a minute. But first, I want to talk about right-wingers who see communism and communists, Bolsheviks, Marxists, everywhere. So a classic example, I say classic, I mean 2018, was the height of this. Going into 2018, 2019, but, relative to how short everybody's attention span is now that Twitter's, decimated all of our executive function, forever ago, was Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is very fond. It's not like he stopped, right? He's still, he's somebody who, a lot of people who pay attention to certain kind of online discourse have forgotten about, but he still sells 20 trillion books a minute. It's, he hasn't gone anywhere. He still has all the opinions that he's always had. But Jordan Peterson has and continues to have the view that everybody he doesn't like, basically green-haired college kids, who want to yell at him about pronouns, are postmodernists, and they're also Marxists. So there's a classic explanation of what's wrong with this from 2018. Actual non-ironic friend of the show, Natalie Wynn, put out I think this is actually one of my all-time favorites of her videos, and we're just going to watch a couple minutes of clip where she explains why this doesn't really make sense if you know anything about Marxism, or if you know anything about postmodernism, or really even if you know anything about green-haired college kids, who are upset about pronouns.
On one hand, we have Marxism, a fundamentally modernist worldview that theorizes the human condition in economic terms. On the other hand, we have postmodernism, a skeptical worldview that denies our capacity to know any universal truths about anything. On the face of it, it would seem these two ideas are not compatible, and there is an extensive history of dispute between them, with, for instance, the Marxist Sartre calling Foucault the last barricade the bourgeoisie can erect against Marx. And of course, as we all know, when Foucault died, capitalism did end forever. So where does Peterson get off talking about postmodern neo-Marxism? Well, it's true that a lot of postmodernists were in some way influenced by Marxism, so the phrase could just refer to that continuity. But that's not what Peterson means. It's clear from the way he uses the term that the concept is even more jumbled and nonsensical than it initially appears. Peterson uses the term postmodern neo-Marxism to include not only postmodern intellectuals and Marxist intellectuals, but also liberal politicians, academic administrators, and corporate HR departments that care about diversity, and so-called identity politics activists, including feminists, LGBT, and civil rights activists. Basically, it's the entirety of the modern left. Now, I've already mentioned how Marxism and postmodernism are fundamentally at odds, since Marxism is a big story about a struggle between two clear and distinct groups, and postmodernism is skepticism about big stories like this, and about the stability of binaries like bourgeoisie and proletariat. But that's not the only tension in Peterson's clusterfuck idea of postmodern neo-Marxism. Anyone with any experience in leftist circles knows that Marxists and identity politics activists are constantly at each other's throats, because the Marxists accuse the activists of being bourgeois dogs who want more female CEOs of color and more disabled transgender drone pilots, while the activists accuse the Marxists of being a boys' club of brocialists, no more woke on gender and race issues than the average Jordan Peterson fan. Most often these accusations are correct, because everyone is problematic and I disown them all.
Classic video, best part. Even if the both sides is at the end makes me grumble, even in the context of a joke. But in any case, yeah, no, that's a really good video. It's a really good part of the video. So that's Jordan Peterson. This is, 2018, 2019. Now, of course, it's 2021. Since then, the, insane red baiting scene of communists under every bed sheet, and in every in every cupboard has gotten much more advanced. Now we have somebody named James Lindsay, better known in some circles by his Twitter handle @ConceptualJames, and @ConceptualJames is a very conceptual man. We're actually going to do an episode, I think, about him at the end of November. I have some guests, being lined up for that. Yeah, sorry, the sadism is not going to end. @ConceptualJames has updated it. It's not Marxism equals postmodernism equals blue-haired college kids. Now it's Marxism equals critical race theory equals the CDC equals blue-haired college kids. And if you look at basically any of his tweets, there you go. Make communist and fascist marginalized groups again, communism being obviously, as we know, a very mainstream part of American society. Not everyone recognizes that the American communists were trying to install neo-communism, public-private partnership. That's neo-communism, is public-private partnerships because they're public in it. Stakeholder capitalism. Stakeholder capitalism is communism, or communists, but very many people can now see something is badly off and coming from those people everywhere. They hold power. Lol, Bojo is being more communist than most of labor. Boris Johnson, who's talking about, and everyone is like, lol, he's a Tory. Yeah, all right. We just have a series of tweets here. Not going to read off all of them. It is just a constant parade of this kind of thing from @ConceptualJames. But I did say it's 2021, and I guess I should say more specifically that it's October 2021, like July 2021, maybe. @ConceptualJames represented the state of the art for red baiting lunacy. But a lot of advances have been made in the last few months. It's like it's like Operation Warp Speed for the vaccines. That things that used to take years or decades, could be done in months now. And we have a really impressive, really advanced form of red baiting that is available on the market right now.
In my opinion, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a communist. If Marjorie Taylor Greene running around saying impeach Biden, that says that Biden won. He didn't. And you would never impeach him with a communist Congress. It's a waste of time. It's all show. A traitor will come at you as a patriot. Be careful.
So that was Lin Wood saying that he sees right through Marjorie Taylor Greene pointing the sniper rifle and blowing up the car labeled socialism. He can tell that, in fact, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a revolutionary communist.
I think she was blowing up the car from the left, and that socialism isn't far enough, and she's a full-on commie, right? She hates social democrats.
There we go. I like it. She's she's very upset that mainstream American socialists contest Democratic Party primaries, and they don't uphold the DPRK and other sorts of ideological deviations. So yeah, that could be it. So we went from academic theories held by people who actually hated Marxism and talked about it all the time and were hated by Marxists at the time in France, are communism, to blue-haired college kids are communism, to public-private partnerships are communism, and now we've worked our way all the way up to if you say that you want to impeach Biden, that itself shows that you're secretly pushing the communist agenda, because it implies that Biden won the election and is thus president and can thus be impeached. You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. To access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive post-games on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.